All right. Hi there, Chris.
Hey, how are you, Sam?
I am good. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Samantha Russell, and I'm joined today by Chris Field from Holistiplan, and we are so thrilled that you are all here on this Thursday afternoon, or I guess morning, depending on where in the world you are, to join us to talk about the growing demand for tax planning from advisory clients and how you can capitalize on this and both offer it as well as market that you offer it. So we know that there are a lot of you joining us from, clients from Holistiplan, clients from FMG, and then maybe some people who don't work with either firm. And we just wanted to set the stage that we are going to take some time today talking about this growing demand for tax planning. Then we're going to spend some time showing you how you can actually incorporate this into your offering using Holistiplan's software. And then we're going to talk about how you can market this service and really capitalize on this growing demand. And we'll also show you amazing examples of other firms that are doing it really well. So there's going to be a ton of value for everybody on today. The number one question we always get is, will this be recorded? And can we have the slides afterwards? Yes and yes. So you don't need to worry if you have to dip out early. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, feel free to put them in the chat box. The chat box is available for everybody on the call to see, so we can all learn from each other today. So to get us used to it, I thought maybe you could let us know in the chat right now, if you're joining, do you use FMG currently? Do you use Holistiplan? Do you use both? Do you use none? Let us know in the chat box, which again is different from the Q&A. So we'll all get used to that. The Q&A box is where you can send us questions, Chris, myself, and our team on the back end for our eyes only. So that's where you would put any questions that you want to be more private. You can go ahead and put them there. So I see lots of people answering in the chat. What are you seeing, Chris?
I agree. It's going so fast that I feel like the answer is lots of people answering. But yeah, I see a number of people that use both, which is awesome. And several, obviously, that are using each one or the other, and then some that are using none, which is great because it gives us a huge audience to be able to talk about why these two things can work in such great collaboration.
Agreed. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for sharing that feedback. That's really, really helpful for us to see. So just a quick introduction, just in case you are not familiar with us, we're each going to introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit more about our companies. I'm Samantha Russell, again, the Chief Evangelist here at FMG. I have been helping advisors with marketing and growth strategies for about the last 8 years. I was one of the original founding members of a team called 20/10, which was a digital marketing platform for advisors that was acquired by FMG, who I'm here representing today in 2020. And FMG is really an amazing tool for both websites, digital marketing, automations, and it offers a variety of tools, whether you want to plug in and just have things automatically pushed out on your behalf, or if you want to add all your own content, your own videos, your own social posts, and just use the tool more as a distribution software. So we'll be able to show more of that to you soon. If we are not connected already, please feel free to connect with me on Twitter and or LinkedIn. You'll find that every day I share a marketing tip to help advisors grow. So it will be worth your while. And Chris, please tell us a little bit about yourself and Holistiplan.
Yep, I'm Chris Field. I'm the Chief Growth Officer at Holistiplan. And we are a tax planning software. It's been around just over 3 years and just recently passed 15,000 advisors using the software.
Congratulations.
And yeah, thank you. So we're having an absolute ton of fun every single day. The team is now up to about 30 people. We just hired our 30th person a few weeks ago. And you can obviously connect with me on LinkedIn. My Twitter handle is @DisruptionChris. And I would be happy to connect with any of you. So very excited today. Love what FMG does with messaging and communication, and pairing that with tax planning is really kind of a power move for any advisor.
That's a great segue to the first point here. So let's go ahead and jump in. I don't know about you, Chris. I'm sure a lot of advisors ask for your help as a growth officer with growth and marketing. One of the number one questions I get all the time, people want to know, what tactic should I be using? Should I be starting Instagram? The new one, should I start posting to TikTok? Do I need a YouTube channel? Do I need a podcast, right? All of these questions about different tactics and channels. But really, what I always tell people is to start by asking what makes my business marketable in the first place. The tactic's only going to get you so far. You need to know, what is it about the business that makes you marketable?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what people are really wanting to know, right? Is who are you and why can you be helpful to me? Even if the consumer doesn't realize that's what they're asking, that's really what they're looking for.
Right. And so I wanted to start, if you've ever been on a recent webinar of mine, you've seen probably this slide before, because I've been sharing it over and over because I think it is worth repeating. This is a study from an industry group that does research, the Spectrum Group, if you're aware of them. I linked to the source below if you want to check out the full report, but they basically surveyed a bunch of investors and advisory clients and asked them, what services do you expect to get from your advisory firm versus what do you actually receive? And there is a stark difference in this. Now, obviously, one of the takeaways could just be that people expect too much, right? They don't understand what an advisor really does. But I think that's important to note, and also to pay attention to the idea that at the end of the day, we as humans want to simplify our lives as much as possible, and having one provider or point of contact for as much as possible under that financial bucket is really what consumers are looking for, right? So there is just so much marketing opportunity, which we're going to be getting into today, for firms who offer tax planning.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting, Sam, is that the financial advisor is getting more and more of an opportunity to really be the quarterback of that client's financial picture. When you think about some of the tax planning tools out there, the estate planning tools out there, the advisor really has a unique opportunity to connect with the client, not just on asset management like 20 years ago, but to actually really be the quarterback of their entire financial picture, which is great for the client and also great for the advisor, because it means they actually get the full picture. How can you be a fiduciary and not really understand something as important as your client's tax, implications, or not understand their estate plan? I mean, it's really critical that advisors see the whole picture. And so I think that's a lot of that push also. It's a huge opportunity for advisors.
I 100% agree. So let's just look at a couple other. So that was one study. Someone might say, okay, well, that's just one study. Here's another one from Edelman Financial Engines. They just released this in December, their Wealth in America 2022 report. And they had a wide variety of both people who currently work with an advisor and those who do not, right? And they actually found that 1/3 of the people they polled do not currently work with an advisor. And we're talking in that study, over half of the respondents were people who were millionaires or more, right? So this is a good chunk of a good cross-section, I should say. But they did ask them, okay, if you don't currently work with an advisor, what are you most interested in receiving help on? So you can see what those answers are here. But interestingly enough, tax guidance came in number 4, just beyond some of these other, very small difference in percentages, but it was actually the number 1 thing that they said if they were wealthy. So 40% of people who had 500,000 in investable assets or more cited tax guidance. And remember, these are people who do not currently have a financial advisor.
Yep, absolutely. And Samantha, I think it's really fun to realize that there are that many people out there with those kind of assets that are communicating what they're looking for in somebody who's going to take care of their finances. I mean, they're basically waving a banner that says, here's the kind of person I want to help me.
I love that. That's such a good point. So, again, just breaking that down again, they asked it in a different way, right? We love to ask questions in a different way to see if the answers change. So another question they asked was, what financial tasks do you feel are the most overwhelming to do on your own? And you can see, again, managing your money to minimize taxes was right up there. And 47% of affluent folks really honed in on that. So the last thing, again, I mentioned this, only a third of Americans work with a financial professional, according to this study. The opportunity is ripe to bring these people in, by offering this kind of broader spectrum of services beyond the typical investment management and financial planning. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Chris, now to give us a little preview of how those on the call could offer this more robustly by using your software. But for those of you who are with Holistiplan, stay with us because right after this, we're going to show you how you can start marketing the fact that you do offer tax planning in your marketing materials, your website, your social posts. And I'll just leave us segue with this, which was a Bank of New York Mellon Pershing report that found that over 60% of investors believe that most financial advisors make the same promises, making it hard to tell the difference between them. So as we go into the next session talking about marketing, keep this in mind because we're going to show you how you can differentiate. But I'm going to be quiet for a second, Chris, and pass the baton over to you so you can show us what Holistiplan can do to help.
Awesome. Sam, can you confirm you can see my screen?
I can.
Awesome. So I'll be very quick. Obviously, this isn't a full demo of Holistiplan, but just if somebody's sitting out there and they're like, I've heard of Holistiplan, I don't really do tax planning, or it's not something I've ever done before. I just want to give you a sense of what we do. And Sam and I were actually together just a couple of days ago, and she got to see me do this live at a conference. And I'm not going to do it live now, but Sam can attest. I uploaded a tax return. It took less than 30 seconds until we had the deliverable that I'm about to show you right now. So we took a 1040 PDF, we uploaded it into Holistiplan, and we ended up with this tax report. So white labeled with firm name at the top, firm logo, I should say, these key figures. And I want to note, if you're not familiar looking at your client's tax returns, some of these key figures never appear anywhere on a tax return. So marginal rate, average rate, they're not on a tax return. Even you can look through all 20, 30, 40 pages and you're not going to find those numbers anywhere. And again, I think the key is 20, 30, 40 pages of a tax return. That is absolutely overwhelming. And for many clients, even though they have a professional prepare their tax return every year, they've never had anyone demystify taxes for them. And so this tax report is a 2-page document. It's got marginal bracket information, the various MAGI tiers, cap gains and losses, Medicare premiums, pulls in Schedule B, C, E income sources. And then at the very bottom, sort of the real magic is these observations. So we have 100 possible observations. A tax return is really like a client's financial fingerprint. And so my tax return, Samantha's tax return, going to be totally different because marital status, number of dependents, the state we live in, how much we make, how much we give to charity, how much our mortgage is, all those things are different. And so even if we were the exact same age and made the exact same amount of money, our tax returns are going to be different because of all those other variables. So these observations are conversations starters for you and your client. And some of them are going to be purely just an observation. Hey, we noticed this. Like in this case, this client reported Schedule C, E, or F income, but they didn't use a professional tax preparer. So we're just saying, hey, when you have a Schedule C, E, and potentially F schedules, there's a chance you're going to make a mistake. You may consider using a tax professional next year. And then other of these are going to be much more kind of future looking, talking about Roth conversions because the current tax bracket they're in, et cetera. All of these observations can be edited or hidden by the advisor, and the advisor can even add their own observations at the end. And then at the bottom, we provide some state tax hints if we know where that advisor is or where that client is from. So like Sam, I think Blair is from North Carolina, right? So, Blair's tax report would have some of these North Carolina state tax hints that are specific to North Carolina. So that's the tax report. Again, I kind of glossed over this. From the time you upload a client's 1040 personal tax return PDF to the time you have this document right here is less than 60 seconds. And this is taking a process that used to take an advisor 45 to 60 minutes just to input all the data. And it's removed that hour. So think about how valuable your time is. The second screen I'll show you really briefly is for those who may want to be a little more advanced in their tax planning. This is the forward-looking scenario analysis. So you want to do some of that forward-looking tax projection. You're able to go out all the way through 2030. So think about Roth conversions, hugely popular thing that advisors are doing at the end of the year. We literally have a button you can click called Solve for Max, which tells you exactly how much income you could add to that client before you bump them into the next tax bracket. And then if you want to visually see that, you would go to Range Calculator, and it's going to be a visualization tool that shows you what Michael Kitces calls those tax torpedoes or those tax cliffs. So you can see, hey, if I add $39,000 to this client, we stay in the same tax bracket. But if I add $40,000, we jump up 8 or 10%. And Sam, in here, you can model all kinds, as simple as Roth conversions, donor advised funds, qualified charitable distributions. But if you have advisors on the call who happen to be pretty complex, we have about 5% of our 15,000 users who are CPAs. We can model AMT, we can model incentive stock options. So it really meets the advisor where they are. And I think one of the things that makes us unique is that we were created by two CFPs who both ran their own firms. And they said, what is the tool I wish I had when it comes to tax planning? And that's what I want to create. And so that's exactly what they created for their, for advisors, right? And I think the other kind of fun number, as we stop sharing here, I think the other kind of fun number that I want to put out there that's just, it's fun because it matches with the number of advisors we have, is that we've now read in almost 15 million pages of tax returns in the last 3 years. And so, that represents hundreds of thousands of families who are getting tax planning. And that's really exciting because many of those families were not getting tax planning before. And CPAs are awesome. We love CPAs. They are absolutely swamped with tax prep right now. If you follow any CPAs on Twitter, all you see is them talking about how overwhelmed they are and that they're firing clients and that they're raising their prices and that they're trying to find a work-life balance. And that's just tax preparation. So finding a CPA who will do multi-year forward-looking tax planning is almost impossible. So we like to see the advisor finding these opportunities and then going with the client to present those opportunities to the CPA to be executed as needed. So Samantha, I know I'll try to answer some of the questions in chat as we go, but some of the big, kind of big picture ones is we are only reading in 1040 PDFs at this point, no trusts or anything like that. Yeah. We do have state income. We don't read state income state documents, but what we do is we have all 44 states that have state tax. You can model the implication of different decisions in scenario analysis and see how it relates and how it affects that state tax. That's an add-on that you can put on there. And yeah, we do have new user onboarding for all clients this month in February. Anyone who signs up and becomes a member actually gets a free 30-minute quick start with a CFP. And so that's significant. And then we have Debbie Taylor. You probably know her from the speaking circuit. Sam, very popular teacher. She's been doing a master class with us throughout the month or throughout the year of 2023. She did her first session last month. She's doing one every month. And that's free to all Holistiplan subscribers. And we have over 4,000 people that have signed up for Debbie Taylor's master class. So the last question I'll answer because I see it several times. Most firms who are signing up for Holistiplan are starting at our $1,000 a year subscription, which includes all of our premium features, tons of stuff I didn't show you today, and up to 75 uploads per year. And that's $1,000 per firm, not per user. So you can have unlimited users. Yeah,
it basically sells itself. I mean, it's a magical tool, saves you so much time.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense, Chris, but I feel like you kind of got a cake job because this thing is like, who wouldn't buy it? I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And but honestly, I wanted to do this event today because all I see in all of the research that I look at in terms of what clients want, and that's really, what I'm always trying to talk with advisors about is what are boots on the ground, what do clients want, and where are they being most drawn so that people can adjust their marketing accordingly. And this is just something that keeps coming up in the research over and over again. And that's why we really wanted to partner with you on this today. So let's talk a little bit. We'll make sure to go back through. There's so many good questions and get to more questions at the end. But for those of you who are here who are already using Holistiplan, you probably want to know, okay, how do I best market the fact that I do offer this tax planning and it is a differentiator? How do we, communicate this in your marketing? And if you don't do it already and you decide you want to add this feature, how can you best communicate it? So I'm going to show you some really great examples of firms that I think are doing this really, really well. But the first thing I want you to do is maybe pull up your own website. We're all on computers right now, and take a look at it and ask yourself the question, does your website pass what we call the 5-second test? So in marketing, there's something, the 5-second test. And basically what it is if somebody were to land on your website and you showed them the website for just 5 seconds and then, close your laptop, what would they remember seeing? Would they get the gist of who you are, what you do, and who you do it for, right? For a lot of firms, I find the answer to this is no, right? So they don't have a very clear logo that explains what their company is or does. They don't have a value proposition statement right on the homepage that is articulating exactly, again, who they work with, what they do, what they offer. So if you want to do this yourself, again, you can pull up your website, ask a neighbor, ask somebody maybe you see at the coffee shop all the time. Hey, could you take a look at this website for me? Open it up and then ask those questions. What was the page about? What do you remember seeing? Who would benefit from the service, or what action should someone take next? If tax planning is a really big part of your value prop, as it should be if you're offering it, but you don't mention it anywhere, you just mention financial planning or investment management, that is a huge opportunity for you to go back and add that in your messaging. Just keep in mind that one of the things is that adding more words to the page is not the answer. We need to do it in a way where somebody can really, really quickly get the message through the visuals. So in this example here on the left-hand side, if you were to read all of these paragraphs, you would learn that this firm is saying, we will act as your family CFO, incorporating, your taxes, your estate planning, all that stuff. But look at the version on the right. It just visually communicates that to you. And we know that the average person landing on an advisor's site is spending about 45 seconds to a minute there total on all the pages. So we have a very, very short window of time to capture their attention and get them to keep reading, right? So let me show you some examples that are nailing this. So that first one I had showed you before of Tenon Financial, on their homepage, it says, we provide tax efficient retirement planning and investment management for a flat fee. And then if you scroll down, you can see they call out the fact that they do tax planning, right? This is very different than what a lot of other firms have. And so they make it very clear. So somebody landing on their site is going to know this. So there's another version, Streamline Financial Services. This is Dave Zoller's firm. He uses a visual of, again, a picture is worth 1,000 words. He uses a great visual here from Carl Richards with credit and, sourcing. But then he had this great tax reduction questions sound like section. So notice there's not a big paragraph of text that's all about him, right? We do this, we offer that, we do this for you. Instead, it just gets in the mind of the person landing on his website and asks questions that they're already asking themselves. So he's speaking to the fact that he understands the types of things they're already wondering about. And obviously he can provide a solution to those questions. This is a more language from his website, but Chris, I'll just ask you, on the websites that you do see people talking about the services they provide, I think you probably will agree with me. It's really rare to see it written in such a simple language way. But marketing tells us, you really want to write so that a 9th grader could understand it, because we're processing the information so quickly. If it's too jargony, too complex, we just pass by and we don't actually understand what the message was or who it was intended for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sam, I know you'll appreciate this. We both have marketing deep into our roots. My favorite marketing quote of all time that I go back to constantly is that the market does not appreciate complexity. And I'm constantly, every time we think about pricing, every time we think about messaging, I'm always reminding myself and my team, remember, the market does not appreciate complexity. And when you put your foot forward to identify in those potential clients and to introduce yourself, you have to remember that we have all kinds of baggage and insider language from years and years in this industry that our clients don't come to our websites for. They don't have all that baggage. They don't know all that insider language. They don't know what a fiduciary is. They don't know all the compliance jargon and all that. What they know is that they have concerns and questions and fears around money, and they're looking for someone they can trust to help them answer those questions. That's what they know. And so the more simple you can address those concerns and get them into your virtual door through your funnel of getting on the phone and having a conversation with them, it's going to be better for you in the long run by a long shot.
Agree. So a couple more, examples. One of the things I often will see people doing is, they'll just say, want to work with us, or, we have 35 years of combined experience. They don't remind people why they should take this step to actually book the call or connect with the firm. And, I don't know how many people here have heard this before, but 97% of website visitors do not convert. They don't book a meeting with you, right? And so in order to get them over that hump, we need to tell them why it's going to be worth their while. So I love this language here: withdrawal strategies combined with tax planning. And then they just say, one of the biggest impacts on how much tax you pay over your lifetime is the withdrawal strategy you decide to implement. And then there's a get started button that will take you to book a meeting, but they're just, again, reinforcing why is it going to be worth your time to book this meeting?
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, Sam, the number one expense for most all retirees is going to be taxes. Like that's the bottom line. Most people are going to have their house paid off. Kids are out of the house, right? And they've paid for college. The number one expense for most retirees is going to be their taxes. And when you remind someone of that, and then you can help them 20, 30, 40 years ahead, advance of that to make sure you're minimizing that tax implication with them and their CPA, very easy to get them excited about having a conversation with you.
Yeah. Oh, so, and so that's a good segue. I think, when we think about how do we get somebody excited to start a conversation with us, one of the things I always say is allow somebody to visualize what would it be like to work with you. So I love this example here from Delta Wealth Advisors, where they have case studies on their website. And again, these are, they're not the real information of their clients, obviously, but they talk about, if you click on their website and you click on any one of the little sections that they have case studies, it will open up in a page like this. And they'll say, sort of, here's where these people are, right? So Mary found it frustrating to coordinate tax decisions between the family, the advisor, the CPA. They felt like there were missed opportunities. They're talking the language that the person coming to their website or to learn more about their firm is going to also be using. Speaking your prospects language is so, so important. And then they go on to this, what we did to help section, and then they talk about what was implemented. So this is a really great way to, again, help somebody visualize what it would be like to work with you, what the outcome would be in a compliant way, because you're just helping them to visualize what it's going to be to work with you and what value they're going to get.
Yep, exactly. And I linked in the comments the Kitsis article that kind of differentiates between tax planning and tax advice. And remember, for those who are concerned, which is understandable, we trust us, this is the number one question we probably get. Remember, in the CFP certification, there's actually an entire course on tax planning. So literally, there's an entire course. There is an expectation that fiduciaries are going to understand their clients' taxes. And so there is absolutely a differentiation between tax planning and between tax advice. And read that Kitsis article if you're curious about that. And for those who may be worried, we've been approved by LPL. We've been approved by Advisor Group, two of the largest broker dealers. And we have enterprise partnerships with 9 of the 15 largest RIAs in America. So they've all seen and understand why this is planning versus advice. And so it's something that you can definitely get comfortable with as well.
I love that. And, you know, the point that you made about the words mattering. I mean, I know you and I talked about this before. Yep. It definitely does matter. But for those who are expressing concerns, I think to your point, you know, there are a lot of things that when it comes to how you market something, just in general, of course, you want to check with your home office about. And it looks like you're getting some questions, you know, if your software is approved at certain BDs. Again, we'll make sure that if you're interested, the teams will reach out to you afterwards and can have a conversation with you to go through working with your particular broker dealer. Okay, I just wanted to show another option here. I've posted this on social media before, and I got some pushback from some people saying that I'm trying to say this model is better than others, and it's not. It's just me trying to show you another way that you can really quickly use imagery to communicate value. So Canopy Wealth Management and they use FMG for their website. They're the 7th fastest growing RIA according to Smart Asset in the US. And they have this great visual on their website where they show what they offer versus other offerings, right? And of course, they're tailoring this to be able to put the check box in every one of their own columns. But the point is, you can just go down the list if you're a prospect and kind of see what they offer versus what you wouldn't get that if you're somewhere else. And so visuals like this, again, are really powerful in our scroll and scan society to be able to just quickly get the gist of what a firm is offering you. And I love this as a way to help market these types of services.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge to show that differentiation.
So let's talk a little bit about ways you could do this on social media. Again, going back to Dave Zoller, because I think he does such a good job in making something like taxes interesting for people who are on social. So when you're on social media, typically you're not there. I don't know about you, Chris, but I'm not there. Maybe you are, to learn about tax strategies, right? Nope. I'm there to be entertained, to connect with friends. But if I lived in Chicago in the spring and the temperature hit the 40s and 50s and I saw this post, can I deduct golfing if I discuss business? I would stop and watch his 30-second video to get the answer. I don't know if you would.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is a kind of a great example of how you can show that you have an expertise in something and show that you are incorporating it as part of your, service without being boring, without losing people's attention. So that first line of any social media post is so important. Maybe tell us in the chat, if you saw something like this, would it compel you enough to stop and pay attention? Because you all are advisors. So many of you already probably maybe know the answer to this, but I think it's a really compelling way to have a first line of a social media post to capture attention. So again, and then you'll notice, by the way, at the end, he says in the comments, tag a golfing buddy you can discuss business with while you're out on the course. Just another tip, comments are the currency of social media. The more comments you can get faster, the more you're going to get eyeballs on your post. And so that's a great way to get more people to leave a comment and more people to see it. So here's another one. This one is from a gentleman who, goes into a whole bunch of different opportunities for tax. I just wanted to point out that, again, rather than sending people to a blog post or a link to go read more, you can put some of this information up front in your social post without needing to send them to your blog. This is called zero-click content. And this is kind of the new thing sweeping the internet, which is giving people information upfront in a social post rather than making them click to your blog or website to read more. I'm going to go quickly through these other examples here. Again, you're going to get all these slides. So after the fact, if you want to go look up some of these examples and take a look and maybe use them as inspiration, you can. Here's a YouTube channel that is all focused on tax. And I just wanted to show, some of the really interesting comments that people are asking in the comments of these videos, getting into, really specifics that it's, again, another opportunity to have conversation. So the last one that I really wanted to spend maybe just a little bit more time on is webinars, because just like today, you all came here to learn about something. We found at FMG with a research report we did that just 23% of advisors currently use webinars. So tell us, have you ever hosted a webinar for your clients or your prospects? I don't know. How often are you on a webinar these days, Chris? Probably a lot.
Yeah, a couple, maybe one a week at this point, but
Okay.
I don't see a lot of firms doing it. It's mostly tech companies like ours, right? So there's a huge opportunity for firms to be leaders in education.
And, when you all host a webinar, or maybe, I don't know if you have seen any firms doing it, I think the number one thing people really struggle with is how to do it in a way where they can get people on, it's going to be compliant, they can provide valuable information without getting it too into the specifics. Do you have any touch points you typically will share about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, the questions your current clients are asking you, those are the same questions their friends who are not your clients have. So like a huge opportunity just in the last month was around the Secure Act 2.0, right? When RMD age changed. Well, you can be proactive and get out in front of that conversation and be talking to people about some of those Secure Act changes, or you can wait until they read it in AARP print magazine in 2 months and call you about it.
Right.
And so it's really just the same questions your clients have are the same questions your future clients have. So jump on, answer those questions. I think sometimes we overestimate like how formal that has to be, that we've got to have like this, very buttoned up, every word memorized. Just like, hey, there's been lots of questions around this thing. You've probably seen it in the news. I want to talk about it a little bit. And I want to share with you what we've learned in our firm and what we're doing. And if you have any questions for us, we'd be happy to answer those. And so, yeah, I think that's mostly what we're seeing. But again, very, very few firms are taking real advantage of doing this and leveraging its potential.
And I know another question people are going to ask is from a compliance standpoint. So there's two different ways you can think about webinars. You can do them live like we are, where you all are telling us in the chat things and we're responding, or you can pre-record it, send a script to compliance ahead of time to get approved, record it, send them the recording, have them approve that, and then put it on your website. I just showed an example here where if you see all these watch now buttons, if you click on them, you can watch any of these on demand. So actually, whether you do it live or do it on demand, I always suggest putting the replay on your website, because again, it is a great, great, great lead gen tool. A tip with any kind of marketing, remember, is it doesn't actually matter how many people total you get to your website, right? We're not trying to attract 1 million visitors. We're trying to attract the right visitors. And so somebody who's really interested in learning about investing in a market downturn or getting the most out of Social Security, like these examples here, they're going to be a qualified lead. So it's really the quality over the quantity. Someone who's going to sit and watch you talk for 20 or 30 minutes about a topic is a really good prospect. And so this really helps people just what we call self-qualify. They're going to know by watching this content more about your expertise, how you can help them. And they're also going to feel more comfortable with you. There's something called the mere exposure effect. I don't know, Chris, if you've ever heard of this, but it basically is from psychology. And it just tells us that the more we're exposed to something, the more we say we like it. And so when we have somebody that is completely brand new to us, a stranger, maybe it's a referral from a friend or family member, and we go and we watch them talk about a topic and we hear their voice, we see if they talk with their hands, that is just from being exposed to them going to help us report that we like them more.
Yep, absolutely. And I think the interesting thing, Sam, is that every advisor is doing cool stuff every day that would create valuable content, right?
Agreed.
Like they're going in, they're modeling a scenario for somebody, they're talking to somebody about college planning, they're talking to somebody about retirement, they're talking to somebody about incentive stock options, like they're having those conversations every day. And the trick is to train your mind when you have that conversation to think, you know what, if one client had that question, I bet more people would like to learn about that. And that's valuable content when you can say, hey, I was just in my tax planning software working up a scenario for someone, and it reminded me of a very common question about incentive stock option. And so for those of you out there that may be, that may be affected by incentive stock options, here's 5 things you should remember about incentive stock options. I mean, it's that simple. You're doing the work already.
Yep.
You're just not translating the work to conversations online.
And what I love about the example you just gave is notice that, in that conversation, nowhere are you saying, if you work with me, here's what I'll do for you. It's not a sales pitch.
No.
It's hey, if you want to know how to do this on your own or with whoever you're working with, here's what you should know. The more you just give away great information without selling anything, the more people will trust you. And that's a paradigm shift for a lot of people. But it really, people will be sold on your firm just if you're helpful. You don't have to sell them on it. Just being helpful will do it for you, for sure. Yeah. And actually, sometimes the more information you share, the more overwhelmed they get, the more they'll want to hire you.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most people they don't have access to the software, first of all, right? We don't sell to consumers. So the consumer, is not going to go buy Holistiplan. And so, but if they hear an advisor talking about a tax planning strategy and they realize their own advisor has never talked to them about tax planning, then that is something that they're going to pay attention to. And they are going to find the value that you're giving them is not insignificant, and they're going to return that in kind.
So I just wanted to point out a couple other things for so many people who will ask about how do I get people to sign up for my webinar? This is a goldmine of information. So if you leave here today and you think you're going to start doing webinars, or maybe you've been doing them, but you want to get more people, this is the secret sauce. A lot of people don't actually send enough invitations about their event, and then they don't get as many registrants as they could. So 3 times is actually the magic number. A lot of people actually will start emailing people like a month out, and that's actually too early. So with webinars, because people can attend virtually, you really want to send it about a week before, a day before, and then the same day as a reminder. That is going to be the best kind of recipe or formula, if you will, to get the most bodies in the seats. And another tip is when you're asking people to sign up, put a little note at the bottom that says, even if you can't make the live time, sign up anyway, and we'll send you the recording, because that is going to allow you to get their email address and start dripping on them, even if they don't come live, right? So that is another really great tip to get even more registrants. Now, for some of you, to Chris's point, who maybe feel overwhelmed, I can't just show up and start talking about these things. I need some sort of visuals. I did want to mention that FMG, if you are using FMG, and some of you who are our current customers might not realize this, we actually have twice a year full slide decks that we put together that you can use. You can make them your own, you can download them, you can add your firm logo, whatever you want to do with them. But it's an event kit that comes with slides, a script, a landing page to collect invitations. It comes with a way to send out the emails. So this makes it really, really easy for you to, host your first webinar, your first digital event. And I can't recommend this as a starting point enough. If you feel comfortable enough, of course, just going on and talking, that works too. But I think it feels really good to have a really polished presentation that you can speak to. Okay. So before we go into this, what I'm going to do now actually is just show all of you, and Chris, I'm going to rely on you now to tell me, can you still see my screen in the back end of FMG?
Yep.
Okay. So if you are logged into FMG, I'm logged in here under a demo account. I just want to point out some of the great things that we offer, because I do see a couple people saying, what is FMG or what do you offer? So this, if you're a financial advisor, is an all-in-one dashboard. You can use our website tool, or you can have a website somewhere else and just use our marketing tools. But this is going to allow you to have a website, push out, information to social media, to have a blog, to run, client emails, referral campaigns, all from one dashboard. And what's really great about this, I think my favorite part, is the timely content. So, Chris, you just mentioned, when news breaks, sending out information about that, right? Our team is constantly putting together pieces of content based on timely events. So, you don't actually have to sit there that night after a new jobs report comes out and type up something about it. You can just use the information we have. So here's an example of a social post about the jobs report. If we click on details, we can see we got this beautiful graph, a little tidbit. You can just go ahead and post this to any social media channels that you wanted, showing that you're up to date, obviously, and understanding everything in the markets. If you wanted to schedule things out, and it tells you here, whether it's a social post, an email, and you can either use it as is, use it as an email, use it as a blog, so many different ways that you can use the content. The other thing that is really, really cool about this service is if you want to not use our content, but use it as a distribution where you set up in advance what am I going to post to social media, and make sure you have everything scheduled out. You can kind of see gaps in what you're sharing, excuse me. So you can see it's empty here. I don't have any social posts scheduled for the next few weeks. That's not a good thing, right? So we could schedule things out in advance. But the main thing is everything is going to go through compliance. So whether you are self-managed and you just want it all to be archived in here, or you are associated with the broker dealer and you want them to be able to pre-approve everything, that is all available to you. And we have lots of things that are also pre-approved. So people were asking, where would they see that events information? If you go here to the events tab, I don't have any, really scheduled, but you can see a past event, this halftime report. And you can also create, again, new events. So that is where you will find them in your events page. Again, I think one of the biggest values is that with any of this content, you can make it your own, share it out to just content creation does take a lot of time. And so what we're really trying to do at FMG is give you a leg up on that consistency factor. So again, whether it's the yield curve inverts or CPI numbers come out, you wake up in the morning and you can have something really timely that you can send to folks. And then all of the examples of the websites I'm showing today too, many of them are FMG or 20 over 10 websites. So if you are looking for an update to your website, our team can also help with that. Okay, so I know we're getting close to time. Since you had a chance while I was talking, Chris, probably to look at some of the questions. What questions have we gotten that maybe we should take a minute to address?
I think the main thing, Samantha, is just when we're thinking about, we know we have a lot of people on the webinar that are Holistiplan subscribers that are probably not marketing, what they're doing right now. They're doing a fantastic job serving their current clients, but taking that message to the market that they are a leader, that they have been proactive, even as much as Holistiplan has grown the last couple of years, the last T3 tech survey showed that only 1 in 4 advisors were doing tax planning. And so there's still by the way, that was up from 1 in 12 before Holistiplan came out. So it's awesome that that number has grown 4x in 3 years, but that's still only 1 in 4 advisors. So if you're one of those 1 in 4 advisors providing the service that people are saying they really, really want, there's a huge opportunity for you to go and tell that story. So Sam, I would love for you to talk about on the FMG side, if somebody is leveraging Holistiplan, if they are doing great tax planning, how can you guys assist them in making sure that message is getting out there in a way that doesn't overwhelm them and add a ton of time for them?
Yeah, I think the main thing is once you're ready to start adding tax planning to your services, going back and rewording the homepage of your website to include it in some of the examples I showed, because people are going to be looking for those keywords, right? They want to know, are you going to be taking into account forward thinking how this is going to impact taxes for me, especially again, for those wealthy clients. And so we do offer copywriting services at FMG where you can, have us help you with that. Or if you, see other examples of, kind of layouts and you want to incorporate some of those icons and boxes, we can do things like that. So, and I'm also seeing some people who currently use 20 over 10, which again was purchased by FMG. So we're now all under one umbrella. If you have a 20 over 10 website, yes, you can get access to the marketing suite on FMG and keep your 20 over 10 website and just use the timely content, the social posts, all that good stuff. So certainly, we'll connect with you afterwards and give you more information. I think the examples that we shared today, hopefully will give you a good idea of how you can showcase your, the tax planning that you're going to offer, and just keeping in mind of how to frame it in a way that is going to be helpful and interesting and not just boring because, taxes are something we all have to deal with, but a lot of times it's something we just push it off and push it off and push it off until we have to deal with it. And so kind of reminding people that that's an area you help with throughout the year is important, so that when they're finally ready to make that decision of, okay, I need to find an advisor who can work with me on this, you're going to be the first person that comes to mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the fact that it is something people push off is actually a market advantage for advisors. who say, we make this as uncomplicated as possible. One of the things we like to say is Holistiplan allows an advisor to demystify a client's taxes. And, I love that so many people, because they've never had tax planning, they have a problem they don't realize they have, right? And so it's one thing to solve a problem your client knows they have, but when you solve a problem your client doesn't know they had, that's when the real magic happens, right?
Yeah.
We expect a prescription from our doctor when we're sick. We do not expect our doctor to be able to tell us that we're going to be sick in 5 years. And so when they say, hey, Sam, I noticed something, I think we should address this now. You think I would have missed that. Like I would have never known. And that would have resulted in a massive penalty for me. And that's when people go and talk to you about their friends. Right.
Yes.
That's when people go and tell their neighbors. That's when people go and say, hey, my advisor just helped me identify some opportunities and talk to my CPA, and I saved $10,000 on taxes. And their friends are like, wait, you did that? Your advisor did that? I didn't know. Okay.
Right. Just meeting expectations is not delivering such a great client experience that someone's going to go talk about it. It needs to be something that surprises and delights, as we like to say.
Absolutely. And we use that same language internally, right? Is that we want our clients to be wowed and amazed that we identified problems before they even knew that they were problems. And so, I love that.
And I think it's funny on the same, token. I remember when everybody was scrambling, business owners, about PPP loans, to be able to wake up and in your marketing materials, like with FMG, we had an email ready to go to business owners saying, here's what you need to know about PPP loans.
Yep.
Because it was so convoluted about how to get one, where to go, that people could just send out to business owner clients of theirs. The value and the speed and the efficiency of having that stuff done for you. Of course, you can draft up your own email and send it through our system too, but having us help you quarterback that content, and you can take it and make it your own is huge. And again, with marketing, with all of these things, I think the number one thing to remember is that consistency wins the game. So somebody's seeing you in their feed over and over again, or getting emails from you regularly that show that A, yes, you are a financial advisor, but B, that you do tax planning. When they finally had enough playing middleman between their CPA and this advisor they work with, and they feel like things are getting lost, their money's being left on the table, who are they going to think of? They're going to think of the person that they've been getting regular marketing content from, talking about these items, and that's who they're going to call. So I think we're running out of time for today, but hopefully this was incredibly helpful to all of you. We just want to remind you again, Chris Field and Samantha Russell on LinkedIn. If you would like to connect with us, or we'll also share our emails after the fact if anybody wants to, ask any questions there. But let us know in the chat if you found this helpful. And, we just want to thank you all for being here today. If you're thinking about signing up with either company that you're not currently a customer of, we're happy to talk through everything with you and get you more information. But Chris, I can't thank you enough. I'm such a big fan of what Holistiplan is doing, and it is like magic.
Yeah, well, thanks. And we love what FMG is doing, and the magic that happens behind the scenes is only as valuable as being able to tell that story. So we love how you guys help close the loop so that we can help more families. So thank you.
All right, everybody. So stay tuned to your inboxes for follow-up information, links to the slides and all the resources, and have a great rest of the week. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.